Hi, this is Miss Cindy, and I'm here to share a new craft that I've been doing for the past like 4 or 5 weeks. Before I even get into it or get started, anyone that's watching this video, I just want you to know that my prayers goes out to everyone that they stay healthy and working. This is a bad time for the world, not only the country, but for the world. And I never thought I would see anything like this, but we all living through it, and I hope everybody comes through this okay. I wasn't going to do any videos while this was going on, but I was told by a couple of friends and family members perhaps I should, because I have a hobby, and my hobby is arts and crafts. And maybe I can inspire someone to do arts and crafts, especially if you're working remote or you're stuck in the house. You have to do something to keep from going insane. I've just been very blessed for both. I've been blessed that I can work remote. And then when I sign off, I have something to do. So naturally, I'm always looking to do something new. And I found a new craft that I'm trying, and I have been going crazy over it, and I love it, and it's fun. The one thing I am disappointed in it is because this is new for me, and I was asked to teach an arts and crafts class at a disabled school. And I did my first class, and the kids were so receptive. They did so well. They enjoyed it that I was booked for 2 more. But then the schools closed, so that was the end of that. So I've just been experimenting and having a good time with something new. And this new craft is called acrylic pour. There's many YouTube videos out there on it. It looks easier than it is. But I like to work with kids and the beginner when it comes to arts and crafts. And that's what my videos are about, to show you everything you need to know up front. I experiment, and there's any helpful hints I can come up with, that's what I do. So I have been doing that for the past 5 weeks, and I'm beyond the basics. Now that I know what I'm doing, I'm pretty much doing my own thing. So that's what this video is going to be about, is something that I'm trying new. But in the meantime, I will make another video with a basic acrylic pour, and I'll show you some of the work that I've done, and I'll also will show you some of the materials that I'm using, because you can do this with a lot of items around the house. So for this one, all I did was made a little template of a headband. I'm going to do a different technique for this, and I have my canvas. And all I'm going to do is trace this on here, and then I'm going to use a gel, which I will show you, a fine gel, and I'm going to fill it in. When you're working with mediums, they need to dry. So this will have to dry for maybe about a day, and then I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so I used my golden fine pumice gel to fill in where I traced on the canvas, if you can see that. This could be smooth. If I wanted it smooth, you can do anything with this gel, but I wanted some texture, so I made it look like this. This way I can have fun with it when I paint it in at the end. When I do this pour, I'm going to have to be very careful, which is why I'm going to try to do this in sections, which I've never done before. I'm also going to try to use string, which I've only experimented with. So the next thing I have to do is just let this dry really, really good. It's still a little bit wet, so I'm going to let this dry, and I'll show you some of the tools that I've been working with in the meantime. Okay, since we're waiting for that to dry, let me introduce you to some of the materials that I've been using to do these different pours with. The first one is this Floetrol. I can get this from Home Depot. This stuff is just truly amazing. I use 1 part paint, 1 part Floetrol. For different projects, maybe bigger projects, I may use a little bit more Floetrol, a little bit less. But this stuff just helps it flow across the canvas. This is just unbelievable. And like I said, it's white, But it doesn't matter what paint you mix it with. Once you mix it and shake it really good and stir it really good, it takes on the actual color of the paint. It does not, you don't lose any of the color. I got these from Home Depot. This is perfect too, and this is what I tell the people that I'm teaching, is if you can get a couple, got these from the dollar store, I'm sorry. Use these, mix it, half part paint, half part Floetrol, and then you're ready to go. As you can see, I've worked with Pearl, I've worked with Sheen, I've just worked with regular acrylic paint. Any acrylic paint will work and keep its color. I also got from the dollar store a couple of colanders, and the reason why I got two is because I like the design on this one that has, and then, this is round, and then this one has a square one. And then here's a strainer. This also is a really good, gives a pretty good design. And then I got a little tiny one. This is a hair catcher. So all of these work. I used fine pumice. You can use flake, you can use pearl. This is something new that I'm doing on my own. I keep these containers in case I have too much paint. I can go ahead and simply store it in here and it'll hold. I have rubber gloves, cotton string. This is pull chain. You always need a brush. And here's my trowel that I use to spread. I also have popsicle sticks. This helps spread. It also helps with the drip. I've done some work with a comb. And then I have a plastic cup and a measuring cup. All of this, you can use all of these tools and they just wash off with soap and water. But this is what I've been using so far. So here are a couple of the ones that I've tried. This is done with the pull chain. They came out okay. And then I tried using the colander. And as you can see, when you use the colander, once you start tilting, it takes on a life of its own. These came out okay too. This Floetrol really spreads this paint, which is something new to me. But I wanted to keep a design because when you use the colander, it comes out pretty, but then once you start tilting, it does something different. So for this one here, I used the colander, but I didn't spread it all the way to the ends. I really wanted to keep that defined design. So that one, I went ahead and let it dry, and then I just, whatever the canvas didn't cover, with that with the acrylic pour, I just painted a background on it. So I was really pleased with this one because at least it kept the design from the colander. So today I'm going to try something even different. I'm going to put a medium on first, and then I'm going to try the string acrylic pour. Okay, so my headband has dried, and as you can see, I'm going to be working on this area. So I taped the bottom so I won't get a whole lot of paint on that. And this is going to be a tutorial on the pull string. You're not going to see all of this because when I was practicing with this, I ran into some problems. I'm just going to show you the technique of how it's done. But I found that if I was working too slow, the paint started to dry and it wasn't running. So I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to do it in sections, and I'm going to let it dry and then do another section and let it dry. But at least I will show you the idea of how to do the pull string. First thing you do is you get the string, and whatever you're going to do, always lay it out. You do this with the beads too. You lay it out so you know how much string you're going to need. For this string, I'm going to try to make feathers. Like I said, try to make feathers. So I want to make sure that this covers up here so I can put my finger on there before I start and then bring it down. So these are, I guess, about 6 inches. And then you got to get your paint on the string. The best way to get the paint on the string is put a piece of wax paper or parchment paper down, and you just go ahead and whatever colors you're going to use, you just cover the string, and that's it. And you do want to make sure you have enough paint on it. So I said I was going to use feathers, so those are the colors I'm going to use. This is the first time I'm actually trying this on a real painting. Be careful not to mix your colors, or if that's what you want, you can. So that's all I'm doing now, is putting the paint on the string. And try not to get them to bleed yet. They're going to blend once they're on the canvas, but I don't want it to blend. Okay, so I got my layers of paint. This one was not real easy for me to do either. But I practiced a couple of times, so I think I'm good to go to get it done. If not, that's something else I wanted to tell you when it comes to this stuff. If you use a canvas and you put paint on here and you don't like the way it comes out, get some paper towels and wipe it off immediately. I found that I have used quite a few canvases over. I wiped it down really good, got the Floetrol, got the paint off. It may leave, if you use black, it may leave a little tint. Let it dry, get some plain white acrylic paint over it, and start again. So I'm just going to use my little stick here. Let me get a paper towel. To just push this string down into the paint really good. I don't want to mix the paint, so I'm just wiping the tips off with the paper towel. I want to make sure there's a lot of paint on here. This is not going to be, this is not easy for me, but I'm determined to tackle it. And this is just so I could do something different than an abstract, if I can actually do a picture. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. I'm just going to do this section and see if I can do a feather. So that's all I'm going to put the Floetrol on now. All of this is new. The string is new. Just doing Floetrol in a specific area. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to see. So I'm going to smooth this out down the side. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up my first piece of string. And I'm gonna lay it right on the canvas, right on the Floetrol. I'm gonna hold this in, and then I'm gonna slowly drag it towards me. Right off the paper and into the garbage. Then I'm going to take another piece of string and I'm going to lay it, the colors right in the middle where I laid the first one. And then I'm going to slowly drag it on the other side. Okay. And then for my next feather, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to drag it in the Floetrol towards me. Right in the garbage. And then I'm going to take the last one. I'm going to lay that string right on the center. And then I'm going to drag it in the opposite direction. Okay, there's your pull string so that I could try to get the shape of a feather. So the goal here is going to try to be on an Indian headband with nothing but feathers, but I'm not going to do all of this at one time. I'm going to let this dry. I'll probably do this section now since I already have some paint left over, and I'll stick my string in that. So that's just to show you how to do, really quick to show you how to do the pull string. You can do all sorts of stuff with it, but I guess when this is finally over and it comes out pretty decent, I'll give you a picture of it. So anyway, have a good day.